Yo, so what's going on, guys? It is Pone, and we are playing on Jimmy Hat right now. I love this map. I hate this tube, though. Every time I look at this tube from here on out, I don't realize it when I'm playing the game, but after I'm watching my commentaries on it, I realize, why, Pone, why the hell are you going down that tube? You're just a giant turd waiting to get shit out. That's exactly what that is. So I hate this tube so... There I go again! I hate it so much. But anyways, hopefully you guys are not as passionate about that little poop tube as I am. But... anyways, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is obviously the continuation of Juggernaut with every gun show. Today we're using the UMP45, that hump. I don't call it the UMP or the UMP. I call it the hump. It's the hump 45. And the 45, I don't know what it really stands for. I honestly think it's the angle of the hump. You know what I mean? So 45-degree angle, that's about approximate. Yeah, I'd say about right. So this is the hump 45, and I love using this. And it's one of the great guns. Many people consider this gun overpowered when the game first came out. But I think it's because it's the only gun they had. And then when they realized that there were other things out there that you could do, forget the hump. Start using your PP or the MP7 or something like that. So there are a lot of other guns in the category that are a little bit better at close range. It's just this one performs at a rate that it's hard to explain. I think the PP90 is probably the best all-around submachine gun in the game. I think it's got the best range and manageable recoil, not to mention a great rate of fire out of all the guns. It's probably the best submachine gun in my mind. MP7 is pretty damn strong at close range, probably the best. Maybe pretty damn decent at medium range, but even though it has the lack of recoil, I find out that it takes like 8 bullets to kill a guy down range. So even though it has really simple recoil, it is difficult to use. So, the UMP is kind of one of those all-around guns as well. I just don't think it's as good as the MP7 or the other one, but imagine, it's just not this little plastic gun in your hand. It's not some little tiny gun. This is actually a solid-ass gun. It's been a gun that's had a great stature in gaming, whether or not it's Battlefield or Call of Duty. The UMP45 has always been an amazing gun. So, with that being said, that's just my summary of this. I really don't need to talk about a gun. It's pretty much self-explanatory by now because that gun is just, hands down amazing. As I'm just a turd in waiting. I'm stealth tigering this guy. I'm going to chase these guys down and bite at their cankles. So, I don't know why I was waiting in that tube. It's probably the dumbest thing ever, but again, you wouldn't expect somebody to be laying on their tummy in sewage, now would you? So, anyways, now that I smell like shit, we're going to go through here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about something weird. It's a weird topic. You guys like, what the fuck, Pone? And I want to talk to you guys about Harry Potter. You guys like, what? Are you serious, dude? You know how I know you're gay? No, I want to talk about Harry Potter. And the whole idea of this came up from, the girl that we had you troll the other day, mediocre madame, whatever you want to call her. Well, I think she looks like Luna, what's her name? Luna Lovegood or whatever. The psycho blonde bitch. Every movie, every series has one. She's the psycho blonde bitch, okay? She wasn't like Slasher Tire psycho, but she was on that next level fucking drugs kind of fucking psycho. So she was zoned out talking about weird shit in that movie. So I thought about that, and I wanted to troll her, but instead I wanted to talk about Harry Potter as my topic. Now, Harry Potter had a very, very big influence on me as towards creativity. I've always liked that kind of unique thing, but it grabbed a hold of our, not necessarily our, our fans, our country and everything, but it really, really did take a big step towards entertaining our youth, if you will, because with Harry Potter, it started off simple. It started off with just books, you know what I mean? And then they started trying to, let's make it into movies. Now, that doesn't always turn over, okay? There's a rare, odd occasion, and it usually happens in fantasy books where they actually turn out okay because of graphics and storyline, so on and so forth. It's usually only the fantasy novels that are actually turned into something incredible in movies. Take, for example, Lord of the Rings. Even though I love the books, the movies were actually pretty badass, too. Take, for example, the Narnia books. Those weren't too bad. The movies weren't too bad either. So, along the lines of fantasy and wizardry and, fucking imps and gargoyles and whatever the fuck else that you can pull out of a hat, in between that idea, there have always been great movies made after the books. Now, they might not be as good as the books, understand, but they are pretty damn decent movies, and Harry Potter took us over. When I was growing up, I remember the first time I heard about Harry Potter, and my mom told me about it. So, obviously, I was growing up, my mom told me something, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to say, fuck you, ho! I mean, I love you, Mom. And that's what it was. So she was like, you know what, I got this hardback edition, and I want you guys to check this out. This lady at work told me about it. So my mom was doing me a solid. She was like, you know what, I bought you this book. It seems really cool. So I did what every logical child would say, and I said, bitch, smack yourself with that hardback book. No, I'm just kidding. I put it in my closet and didn't touch it. So eventually one day I got bored. I was crying about the fact that we ran out of Twinkies, typical fat shit, fat kid dilemmas. And I decided, you know what, I wanted to try this book out. So I pulled it out, started reading it, and I was just in a trance, guys. I couldn't hide it, dude. I put like 4 pillows on top of it. It was just still just poking up, man. I was super excited about these books, so I got hooked on them. And I couldn't wait for the new one, and the new one, and the new one, and it was just such an incredible journey, and it brought you along with it. I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, I shed a tear when Dumbledore died in the book. Maybe not in the movie, because that shit was slow motion. It made me laugh. Anytime somebody falls off of some shit, and they're aiming up with their hand like, oh, like you're Jesus or something, like, you know, anytime you slow motion somebody's death, I laugh. I think they just theater moded that shit, so that just makes me laugh. But the book really got to me. I shed a tear over that shit because you build something up with it. So I wanted to ask you guys if you had the same thing. I mean, you might not have had the same example or feeling that I did. My fucking pillow just died. I wouldn't have the same kind of feeling that you guys may have because maybe it's just a different area, a different crowd that it was reaching out to. So I started getting into the books probably right before they started making the first movie. And there was only, a handful of them out by then, right? There was, 4 or 5. I don't know. I don't remember that exactly. I mean, it has been out for a few years, fucking, 10 years or something. Something crazy. These books have been made for, it's probably closer to, 8, maybe 10, I don't know. So, you know, growing up, I was checking into these books, and I eventually got into it where I started, you know, thriving for them. I really enjoyed them, and I had fun reading them. And it was probably the first book that ever actually caught my interest. I mean, in school there were a couple books that were mandatory I had to read. I really loved Mice and Men. I really liked that book. I mean, there are very few books that ever catch my attention. I'm a fucking video gamer, okay? Give me the UMP45, and I'm gonna tear things up. I was never the kind of guy that would expect to get into books, and Harry Potter's kind of what opened that door for me. Now I'm involved in, even though they might not be the best or most accurate movies or books in the world, I've enjoyed some of them. Things like Percy Jackson, Fablehaven. What's her name? Kaima, whatever her name is. I mean, the Warrior's Heir and stuff. So there's a handful of books that I've enjoyed, and I love the fantasy thing. So I wanted to ask you guys, how has Harry Potter influenced you? Because I know you fuckers have watched it. I know you have, so don't even act like you've not watched it. Some of you guys might think it's a joke, might think it's gay, but overall, what has it done for you guys? Let me know your opinions down below. Thanks for watching. Feel free to rate up the video. My Twitter's down below. Come hit me up, bitches. I love you. Get it.